really glad to be here with you today and glad to have people willing to speak out. Earlier this year, I dropped in a bill on January 16th, which is the anniversary of the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom. And the reason I don't normally drop in a lot of resolutions like that, but to make January 16th Minnesota's Day of Religious Freedom, because there's some people around the country who've decided they're going to use the guise of religious freedom to attack religious freedom. And they're doing it very effectively. Matter of fact, they're working with a group nationally that is trying to expose another group, an ALEC-like group. I'd call it the social conservative wing of the ALEC movement. It's a group that's got model resolutions on how you can start stepping forward and they use the term religious liberty. And one of the advocates of this group is called Project Blitz. It's a national thing. You can Google it, and there's a Blitz Watch now from some of folks who are saying we got to expose what's going on here. And they actually have one of their folks saying, here's our step. First, we're going to do this. We're going to use religious liberty and religious liberty and religious liberty until we can take over everything. And then we can get rid of all those who disagree with us. I mean, their goal is to stop religious liberty. Their goal is to speak for their branch of anti-gay, anti-religious liberty, anti-Muslim, anti-atheism, anti-everything but their right-wing Christianity. And they've been trying it. One of the first steps is when we faced last year the In God We Trust movement in the schools. And I thought that was interesting because I think many of you know I have strong religious beliefs and strong religious background. I just happen to think everybody ought to have their own strong beliefs or whatever, and we should respect each other. So when Senator Hall came to the floor of the Senate, it was last year, maybe it's 2 years ago, last year, and pushed his, let's put In God We Trust motto in public schools. Oh, we won't use any public money. It's just if somebody donates posters or plaques or whatever, we should put this in every classroom and everywhere else, voluntarily. And that won't step on anybody's rights. And so I said on the Senate floor that I thought Senator Hall said that he thinks 79% of Americans believe in God, which I don't have any reason to question or anything. So I said, I'm speaking out on behalf of the 29% who don't believe in a God, and on behalf of many of those of other religions than their religion because they want their God to be pushed, and on behalf of many who may believe in what they would consider the same God, but who don't want anybody's beliefs being pushed on anybody else. And they said this was meant to unite people. This was going to bring us together. That was what Senator Pratt said. Senator Hall said it was to build respect, because kids don't respect their teachers, people don't respect parents. We got to build respect in society. And I said, this is a heck of a way to build unity and bring us together when half of us are saying this is really offensive to us. And I think what we have to do is start saying this stuff isn't harmless. I said, I have problems with, I'm not going to make a fight of this because I don't think there's certain fights you just lay off of, but the In God We Trust on our money. I don't like that. I don't think it's appropriate and so on. And they keep pushing it, all the things they did when they added in under God into the Pledge of Allegiance. That wasn't the nation's founders. That was 1954. I mean, they're trying to do this stuff to push an agenda. So I want to just be there to say real briefly that we got to speak up on this. And I appreciate the fact that folks behind the Day of Reason, whether atheists or Unitarians or people of various religious beliefs, I think we got to stay together and say, our country was founded on religious liberty. The Virginia statute was fundamentally different. We can't say the nation's founders had everything right. I mean, they tried to push their religious beliefs on others. But the whole nature of our democracy is that we can stand up to that. We don't have to do it that way. And Project Blitz, which, again, if you look at their playbook, there's a guy named Fred Clarkson who's been exposing what's going on. It is just like ALEC. They have model legislation. You introduce this in your state, they got like 3 steps. The first ones are the easy ones, the in God we trust and the things like that. And then the next step is to do certain things. And basically it's largely pushed by people who want to push an anti-gay agenda, who want to push other things and roll back where the nation is. And protecting businesses that discriminate. And I want to make one more point about how this is used and how there is, not everybody who supports that stuff is trying to do harm. They just don't see it that way. I remember talking with one of my Senate colleagues a few years ago after the gay marriage fight, and he said, "John, I know you have strong religious beliefs. I know you care about freedom of religion, and I know you care about that. So how do we deal with the fact that somebody who has strong religious beliefs and wants to just protect their free speech rights, and they're in a business, the kind of catering business or something, and they might have to perform some services for some gay wedding, and they don't want to do that, and it violates their religion. Why can't John, could you help us craft some legislation or something to give them protection too?" I said, it reminds me of people 50 years ago, 60 years ago, when we didn't have laws in every state, matter of fact, laws on the other direction in many states that prohibited interracial marriage. And there were people who said, we've got to do something. We got to protect our religion. We don't believe mixing of the races is appropriate, so we think we should be able to discriminate against them. I said, it's the same thing. He said, oh no. I was trying to say racism. If my religious beliefs are racist, I should be able to discriminate against other people. I open a business, I should be able to have separate drinking fountains for whites and blacks. I should be able to do that because that's my religious beliefs. He said, well, no, nobody believes that though. That's racist stuff. But he couldn't see the same thing that he's doing this, and I happen to think over another 50 years will be the same way on LGBT issues, but we're not there yet. And so I think there's some people who have sincere beliefs of what they're trying to do. Not all of them. Some of them they're very much using this as a political wedge issue because they think they can get lots of people of both parties to say, we want to protect our values, and our values are, usually in this country it means what they consider Christian. Is one who calls myself a Christian. I kind of don't see my religion anywhere near what their religion is. But they want to push their religious beliefs on others. I try to tell them every argument, in some of the Scandinavian countries actually have an official state religion. A lot of European countries some of them still have official state religions. Everybody's a member of the church. Nobody goes to it or anything, but they're all a member of it. But I happen to think people are best off if they believe what they believe and push for what they believe, but they're not trying to push it on others. And that's the genius of our democracy, and that's what we have to fight for, and that's what we've been pushing against for the last few years, and we're going to have more of it. So I think your voice today on, what was this? This is the National Day of... I know, but I know...
The National Day of Reason.
Yes, and whatever they're called, their day... That's it. We should... It's very important that you're here today to speak out, to let people know that, the way to unite people is to respect everybody, with no exceptions. National Day of Reason is very worth celebrating, and I really appreciate your welcoming me and others here to join with you in working for this, because, everything I have, a lot of the things I push in public policy are things that come from my heart and my values and everything else. And my heart values may be influenced by my understandings of my religious beliefs. But if I can't make a case for public policy totally without using that language, I should question whether I'm pushing something for the public good or whether I'm pushing something pushing somebody's beliefs on others. Because what we're supposed to do here is work for the public interest and not for private interests, whether they're spiritual or economic or social or whatever. We're supposed to work for the public interest, and that's what it's about, and that's what Day of Reason's about. So given the fact that this was the National Day of whatever, I'm trying to make the point that was the National Day of Prayer. It's pretty important to have you come here and say, no, it's the National Day of Reason. And hey, you guys can go do whatever you want to do on your own, but don't force it on anybody else, because we respect you. You better respect us as well. We'll keep fighting together and make it happen. So thank you.